The shimmering display cases of the luxury watch store sparkled under the bright lights, showcasing timepieces worth more than most people's annual salaries. It was a place where exclusivity was the unspoken rule. When a man dressed in a simple jacket and jeans entered, the sales associate's nose wrinkled with disdain. He barely glanced at the man before barking, "You're in the wrong place." That man was Keanu Reeves, and what happened next would leave the entire staff stunned. Keanu Reeves stepped into the luxury watch store, his quiet demeanor contrasting sharply with the opulence surrounding him. The polished marble floors gleamed under his boots, and the air was filled with a faint hint of leather and wood polish. For Keanu, the visit was simple. He was looking for a gift for a close friend. But for the sales associate behind the counter, it was something entirely different. The associate, a young man in a tailored suit, glanced up from his phone and barely concealed a smirk as he saw Keanu. Dressed in a plain jacket, jeans, and scuffed boots, Keanu didn't exactly fit the mold of their usual clientele. "Can I help you?" the associate asked, his tone dripping with condescension. "Yes," Keanu replied politely, his eyes scanning the display cases. "I'm looking for a watch, something elegant." The associate snorted softly, crossing his arms. "We don't have anything in here for you," he said. "Our pieces are exclusive." Keanu raised an eyebrow, slightly taken aback. "I'm sure they are," he said evenly, "but I'd still like to take a look." The associate stepped out from behind the counter, blocking Keanu's view of the displays. "Listen," he said, lowering his voice. "I think you'd be more comfortable at the shop down the street. This place isn't exactly budget-friendly." Keanu's expression didn't change, but there was a subtle shift in his posture, a quiet confidence that the associate didn't seem to notice. "I wasn't asking for a budget-friendly watch," Keanu said calmly. "I just want to see your collection." The associate sighed dramatically, clearly losing patience. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. We have a reputation to uphold and—" He paused, looking Keanu up and down with a sneer. "You don't exactly fit the image." For a moment, Keanu said nothing. He simply looked at the associate, his expression unreadable. Then, with a small nod, he turned and walked out of the store without another word. The associate smirked, satisfied with himself, but his victory would be short-lived. The glass door of the luxury watch store swung shut behind Keanu, but he didn't let the encounter rattle him. His calm demeanor remained intact as he walked down the busy street, the city's hustle and bustle wrapping around him. What the sales associate didn't realize was that Keanu had chosen that store for a very specific reason. Minutes later, Keanu stepped into another luxury boutique, where the atmosphere was just as polished, but far more welcoming. The staff greeted him with warm smiles, offering assistance without hesitation. Within moments, Keanu was seated at a plush counter, sipping espresso as he examined a selection of exquisite timepieces. As he carefully considered his options, Keanu couldn't help but think back to the earlier encounter. It wasn't the first time someone had judged him based on his appearance, but it still stung. What mattered now, however, was turning that moment into something meaningful. After selecting an elegant watch with a timeless design, Keanu turned to the boutique manager. "I have one more request," he said, a thoughtful smile playing on his lips. "Can you have this delivered?" The manager nodded enthusiastically. "Of course, Mr. Reeves. Where would you like it sent?" Keanu pulled a business card from his pocket and slid it across the counter. "To this address. Make sure it's addressed to the store manager." The manager's brow furrowed slightly as he read the card, recognizing the name of a competing luxury watch boutique. "Are you sure?" he asked cautiously. Keanu's smile widened. "I'm sure." As the boutique staff wrapped the watch in a beautifully crafted box, Keanu felt a quiet satisfaction. He wasn't seeking revenge, just a chance to remind someone that appearances can be deceiving. Back at the luxury watch store, the associate who had dismissed Keanu was chatting with a coworker, his earlier encounter long forgotten. The atmosphere was calm, the faint hum of classical music filling the air as a few customers browsed the glittering displays. Suddenly, the glass door opened and a courier stepped in, carrying an elegant black box tied with a satin ribbon. The store manager, a sharply dressed woman in her 40s, stepped forward to greet him. "This is for the manager," the courier announced, handing over the package. The manager took the box, her eyebrows raising slightly at the sight of the high-end packaging. "Who sent this?" she asked. "It's from Mr. Reeves," the courier replied, before turning to leave. The manager's expression shifted, her curiosity piqued. She carefully untied the ribbon and opened the box, revealing a stunning timepiece resting on a velvet cushion. Inside the box was a handwritten note. The note read, "Kindness and respect are priceless, but I thought this might help remind you. Best wishes, Keanu Reeves." The manager's face froze as she read the name. "Keanu Reeves?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The associate standing nearby frowned. "Wait, did you say Keanu Reeves, the actor?" "Yes," the manager replied, her tone sharp. "The man you kicked out of the store earlier today." The associate's face drained of color as the realization hit him. "That was him?" he stammered, his arrogance replaced with panic. "I didn't know. He didn't look like—" "Like what?" the manager interrupted, her tone icy. "Like someone who deserved respect?" The store fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. The other employees exchanged nervous glances, their gazes shifting to the associate, who now stood frozen in place. The manager's stern gaze remained fixed on the associate, her disappointment evident. "Let me get this straight," she said, her voice calm but cutting. "You judged a customer, no, a global icon, based solely on his appearance, and you turned him away." The associate fumbled for words, his confidence from earlier completely shattered. I didn't know who he was," he stammered. "He wasn't dressed like someone who would shop here." The manager raised an eyebrow, holding up the handwritten note that had accompanied the watch. Clearly, he didn't need to be dressed a certain way to afford something from this store, and even if he couldn't, that's no excuse for treating anyone with disrespect. The other employees watched in awkward silence as the associate shrank under the weight of her words. "This isn't just about losing a sale," the manager continued. "It's about the reputation of this store and the values we're supposed to represent. Luxury isn't just about products. It's about service and respect for everyone who walks through that door." The associate's face reddened as he realized the full extent of his mistake. I didn't mean any harm," he said weakly. "Intent doesn't erase impact," the manager replied sharply. She gestured toward the watch. This is a reminder of how badly you handled the situation. Mr. Reeves could have chosen to embarrass you, to tarnish our store's name publicly. Instead, he sent this. That's class, something you clearly need to learn." The associate nodded, his head hanging low. "I understand," he said quietly. The manager sighed, her voice softening slightly but still firm. "Let this be a lesson to all of us. Never judge someone by their appearance. Every person who walks through that door deserves our best." As the tension began to ease, one of the other employees whispered, "Do you think he'll come back?" The manager glanced at the watch, her expression thoughtful. "If he does, I hope we'll be ready to treat him the way he deserves." The store grew quiet after the manager's scolding, the weight of the situation settling over the staff like a heavy fog. The associate who had dismissed Keanu sat in the back office, his head in his hands. The day had taken a turn he hadn't expected, and the regret was eating at him. He replayed the encounter in his mind, the polite way Keanu had spoken, his calm demeanor even when being treated poorly. It wasn't just that he had turned away a world-famous actor. It was the realization that he had judged someone unfairly, something he now knew could never be justified. Meanwhile, the manager stood at the counter, her gaze fixed on the stunning watch resting in its velvet-lined box. She reread the note from Keanu, her admiration for his gesture growing with each passing moment. "This wasn't just about teaching us a lesson," she murmured to herself. "It was about showing us a better way." Later that evening, as the staff gathered for their closing meeting, the manager addressed them with a serious but hopeful tone. "What happened today isn't just about one customer or one mistake," she said. "It's a wake-up call. We can't claim to offer a luxury experience if we treat people based on how they look or what we assume about them. True luxury is in the way we make people feel." The staff nodded, their expressions somber but thoughtful. Even the associate, who had been silent for most of the meeting, raised his hand. "I just want to say, I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Not just for what I did to Mr. Reeves, but for forgetting that every customer deserves respect. I'll do better." The manager nodded, her expression softening. "That's all we can ask. Let's make sure this never happens again." The following day, the store buzzed with an unusual energy. The staff, still reeling from the events of the previous day, were determined to do better. The manager had instructed everyone to treat each customer with care and respect, regardless of appearances. Around midday, the glass door swung open, and in walked none other than Keanu Reeves. Dressed in the same casual outfit as the day before, he entered quietly, his presence immediately noticed by the staff. The associate who had dismissed him froze, his face draining of color. The manager, however, wasted no time. She stepped forward with a warm smile, her voice confident and sincere. "Mr. Reeves, welcome back. We're honored to have you here." Keanu smiled politely. "Thank you. I wasn't sure if I'd come back, but I'm glad I did." The associate hesitated before stepping forward, his expression a mix of guilt and determination. "Mr. Reeves, he began, but his voice faltered. He took a deep breath and tried again. "I owe you an apology. The way I treated you yesterday was unacceptable. I made assumptions I shouldn't have, and I'm truly sorry." Keanu studied him for a moment before nodding. "Apology accepted," he said simply. "What matters is that you've learned from it." The tension in the room eased, replaced by a sense of relief and gratitude. The associate stepped back, silently vowing never to repeat his mistake. The manager led Keanu to the display cases, where she presented their finest collection of watches. "Please take your time," she said. "We're here to help with anything you need." Keanu examined the pieces with care, his demeanor relaxed but thoughtful. "You've got a beautiful collection," he said. "But honestly, I didn't come back to buy something. I came back to see if anything had changed." The staff exchanged glances, their expressions filled with hope. Keanu smiled faintly. "And I can see it has." The staff gathered nearby, watching as Keanu continued to browse the display cases. His words from moments earlier hung in the air. He had come back not to shop, but to see if they had changed. It wasn't about the watches. It was about how they treated people. The manager stepped forward, her voice filled with sincerity. "Mr. Reeves, I want to personally thank you for giving us a second chance. What happened yesterday was a mistake, but it's also been a learning experience for all of us." Keanu looked up, his expression thoughtful. "Mistakes happen," he said. "What matters is how you respond to them. And from what I've seen today, you're heading in the right direction." The associate who had wronged him the day before stepped forward again, his voice quieter this time. "I'm truly sorry for the way I judged you," he said, his words heavy with regret. "You've taught me something I won't forget." Keanu nodded, his gaze softening. "We all have moments where we fall short. The important thing is that we recognize them and do better. It's not about perfection, it's about progress." The staff exchanged glances, each of them silently reflecting on their own behavior. Keanu's calm demeanor and wise words had turned what could have been a bitter moment into an opportunity for growth. Before leaving, Keanu paused near the counter and looked back at the team. "Thank you for showing me that change is possible," he said. "And remember, every customer who walks through that door deserves the same respect, whether they're here to buy or just to browse." The manager smiled, her gratitude evident. "We won't forget, Mr. Reeves. Thank you for reminding us what matters." As Keanu left the store, a sense of quiet pride filled the staff. The lesson he had delivered resonated deeply, not just with the associate, but with everyone in the room. The manager called for a quick meeting after Keanu's departure, her voice calm but firm. "Let's make sure this moment stays with us," she said. "This isn't just about one mistake. It's about how we treat every person who comes through those doors, no matter who they are." The associate nodded earnestly, his earlier arrogance completely replaced by humility. "I'll do better," he said. "I owe it to all of you, and to every customer." Meanwhile, news of the incident had already begun to spread. A customer who had been in the store during Keanu's visit posted a video online, sharing the story of how he had been turned away, only to return the next day and show incredible grace. The post quickly went viral, accompanied by captions like, "Keanu Reeves teaches luxury store, staff a lesson in kindness," and "Never judge a book by its cover, Keanu proves it again." Within hours, the video was trending across social media platforms, garnering millions of views and comments. Fans praised Keanu for his humility and wisdom, while others reflected on the broader lesson of the story. "This is why we love him," one comment read. "Keanu doesn't just talk about kindness, he lives it." The store's reputation took a hit at first, with many criticizing the associate's behavior. However, the manager quickly issued a public statement acknowledging the mistake and vowing to do better. "This incident has been a wake-up call for us," the statement read. "We are committed to ensuring every customer feels respected and valued, no matter who they are." The viral video and public response sparked significant changes within the store. The manager, recognizing the importance of the lesson learned, implemented new training programs for the staff. These sessions focused on empathy, respect, and ensuring every customer received the same high level of service, regardless of their appearance. The associate who had dismissed Keanu took the training seriously, his behavior becoming a model of what the store now aimed to represent. He went out of his way to greet every customer warmly, no matter how they were dressed. "It's not just about selling watches," he admitted to a coworker one day. "It's about making people feel seen and respected." The story of Keanu's encounter continued to circulate online, drawing attention not just to the store's mistake, but also to its efforts to improve. Public opinion began to shift, with many praising the store for owning up to its error and striving to do better. Keanu, as always, stayed out of the spotlight. When reporters reached out to him for a comment, he kept his response simple. "What matters is that they learned something from this. That's all I ever wanted." Back at the store, the staff noticed a change in the atmosphere. Customers who had heard the story came in not just to buy watches, but to share their appreciation for the lesson the store had learned. Many of them left positive reviews online, highlighting the newfound warmth and professionalism of the staff. "It's amazing how one moment can change everything," the manager reflected during a team meeting. "Thanks to Mr. Reeves, we're not just a better store, we're better people." Months after the encounter, the luxury watch store had become a symbol of transformation. What started as a moment of poor judgment had turned into an opportunity for growth, not only for the staff, but for the community that supported them. The associate who had once dismissed Keanu now welcomed every customer with genuine warmth. His lessons learned the hard way, shaping him into one of the store's most respected employees. The manager ensured that the team continued to uphold the values of kindness and respect, often reminding them of the day Keanu taught them a lesson they would never forget. One afternoon, a customer walked in, dressed in casual jeans and a worn jacket. The associate greeted him with a wide smile, offering assistance without hesitation. The man ended up purchasing one of the store's most expensive timepieces, thanking the staff for their excellent service. As the man left, the associate turned to the manager, his voice filled with quiet pride. "It feels good to do the right thing," he said. The manager nodded, her smile soft. "That's what it's all about." Meanwhile, Keanu, unaware of the ripple effect his actions had created, continued his life as usual, staying true to his values of humility and kindness. But for the staff at the luxury store, he remained a silent teacher, a reminder of the power of grace in the face of prejudice. The story of Keanu's encounter became a lasting example for others, shared in team trainings and community discussions about empathy and humility. It wasn't just about watches, it was about the timeless lesson that respect should never be a luxury. This story reminds us that a single act of kindness or humility can create a ripple effect of change. Have you ever experienced a moment where someone's actions taught you an unforgettable lesson? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring tales.